Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Today, we're diving into a conversation that hits close to home for many of us, our community: unemployment, relationships, and the pressures that come with economic instability. Now, research shows that men who lose their jobs are 33% more likely to experience infidelity in their relationships. But why is this the case? How does financial strain impact trust, communication, and the emotional connection between partners? Today, we're going to break down the pressures that job loss puts on relationships and explore how couples can navigate these challenges. So we are definitely going to get into it. And listen, before we move on today, we know what day this is. It is Blackout Friday. We do not shop anywhere that does not want our money. And so what are you doing today? Are you still participating with us? Because guess what? I am participating not just on Fridays. I will go without to find where I can find somewhere to buy in order for me to put my money where it belongs. Now, today we have our royal court. We have Minister Connie. We have entrepreneur, real estate investor, and author. And we have Tiara Williams, our producer and our actress, and all around things. Little Miss put her video together last week. I can't wait to see it. I'm so excited. So you have a mirror of us here who have different opinions, but we would love to hear your opinions. So make sure that you talk with us, because we don't talk at you, we talk with you. We'd love to hear your comments. Now, this actually kind of shocked me. So I would like to hear your initial thoughts when you heard about this stat. Hey, Joe, we got our royal king here, Joe Corley, licensed therapist, mental wellness coach, and educator. Hi, Joe. So this actually kind of shocked me, guys. So I want to kind of hear your initial thoughts on what you thought when you heard about 33% are more likely to be cheated on. So I'm going to start with you, Tiara, because was this shocking to you?
It wasn't shocking to me. I mean, just being a woman, I know I've listened to women, I've listened to men, and been in a relationship, where and seen and observed women and men's relationship. And there's just a certain dynamic that I think that has to be in a relationship in order for it to survive. And I mean this long term. I don't mean for a couple months or whatever, but there's a certain dynamic that has to hold strong. So it doesn't surprise me.
Very interesting. Joe, do you feel that number is right on target? I mean, you're a therapist. So what are you seeing in your practice?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me much at all. And it's not for maybe the reasons that you might think. I think that it takes a different kind of guy to lose his job and maintain confidence. Like it takes a different type of dude to be like, yeah, I don't work and I'm still that guy. So, you know what I mean? So, yeah, a lot of people lose a little bit of their attractiveness, I would bet. So, needs aren't being met and, things happen. Not surprising.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, how about you, Minister Connie? What are your thoughts on that? Is that shocking to you?
No, not at all. Because actually, when I was younger, I did that. So, because my mate, he wouldn't even make up the bed and not working. So, yes, it was a whole lot of things. So, um, it could be that high. Yes, I can understand.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very interesting. You're going to have a very interesting take on all of this. Listen, we appreciate everybody being here today. Hey, Deborah. Hey, Jerry. Hey, Jess, Leroy, R&B, Classic, and Soul. Welcome. Join the conversation. But listen, we're going to kick this off with this video and then get into the conversation. Let's check this out.
How long should you hold your man down after he lost his job? So basically, sis was basically saying that she been with this guy a little over a year. They live together, and he lost his job, and it been going on 3 months. He said he out looking, but he still have not found a job, and all the bills been on her. And she don't want to really leave him, but it's feeling a little overwhelming, and she don't know how to confront him because she's starting to feel like he not going out looking how he should. Because in her head, she feel like 90 days is more than enough time to look for a job and get employment, but she don't know how to even confront him about this matter because they're not making him feel like he less than a man or feel like she down talking on him. So the question is, how long should you hold your mate down? In my honest opinion, 30 days, you should see a result, in my opinion, but y'all can drop what y'all think. I feel like within 30 days, you should see a turnaround. If you actively looking how you supposed to look on sites like Indeed, that's nationwide, LinkedIn, you got Google, you got all these sites you can do right at home on Zoom. I feel like if you actively putting in applications every day, 30 days is enough time to see a turnaround. Even if it's a temp service, a temporary job. See, a lot of y'all be having too much pride to get a fast food job or a grocery store job or anything like that. And so y'all to sit there and starve before y'all feed y'all family because y'all think y'all too big for go work at a fast food. But sometimes you got to get what you can till something better come along. You have to humble yourself. You got to crawl before you walk. Because what's not humble is those bills. Them bills due each and every month. They don't care about where the money is coming from. So sometimes you got to be okay with humbling yourself to get your bills paid and to get the job you want. I find that's why a lot of y'all have an issue with finding certain jobs because y'all so picky. I'm not saying you just settle. I'm saying take what you can to pay your bills and wait for something else to come along. But y'all can tell me what y'all think. How long after your mate loses the job is too long?
She had a lot to say about that, but I do want to kind of tap into what Joe kind of tapped in on because I want to hear about this, not what you normally think. So, how does job loss impact a man's self-esteem, and how does this affect his relationship dynamics?
You asking me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the link between financial stress and relationship breakdown is like it's right there. It's neck and neck. So job loss, and that usually leads to financial hardship, which it requires a lot of vulnerability to get through, because if you are a certain type of man and conditioned to do certain things inside a relationship, then that will lead to depression, anxiety. You can feel a little weaker, and that stress always damages the emotional connection between you and your partner. It's just going to happen, and all that shame that comes with that, and that blame, and who knows how you've been taught to express your vulnerabilities or emotions. It will come out more than often like anger, or you be constantly seeking validation or trying to escape your situation. So the person who lost their job was gonna want to look or feel like a man or a king still. The person who didn't lose their job, if it's a female, they like she wants to still feel like she's with a king, and feel like she's attracted to this person. So like that hardship is gonna be, it's really about the cheating is gonna be really about sex. It's just gonna be about power, escape, and trying to feel good. When you've lost control of a piece of your life.
That's pretty deep. So, and one of the things that it's so funny when I reflect back on our shows is you always come with something that makes me think a little bit deeper, Joe. And I really appreciate that because, I think we can get in our head and just make a lot of assumptions, but there's so much to the background story. But Tamisha Carey says, I agree with the sister on the video. There are temp agencies and day labor agencies that anyone can utilize temporarily to hold you over until something else comes along. Tiara, how do you feel about that? Do you agree with this comment?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I think that, and it's important for the man, regardless if you're going out and you're, like she said, like Ubering or, doing stuff. Like I've definitely in between jobs did all kind of things. So for me, I think it's a mindset thing. If I'm willing to get up and get it and figure it out, and by any means necessary, I'm hoping to be with a partner that kind of has that same mindset, because it's gonna make me look at you sideways if you like, oh man, I gotta have this particular kind of job. It has to be this way, because life is not that way, right? If I'm like, there's been many of men who not many of men, but I've definitely had friends who have been like, I can't find a job. And I'm like, well, download one of these apps, deliver some groceries. I do it in between. I make some, like at that time I needed to do it, right? And they didn't. So it just made me think, like, I would never want to be with a man that doesn't have that type of mentality where it's like, you got to get up and get it. You have to be as ambitious, or like Joe said, there's going to be an attraction loss, I think, if you don't have the right mindset.
Very interesting, because I think also in our culture, it feels like a double standard. Because what if someone is living in their purpose, they had a job in their purpose, and they are dedicated to staying on track with their purpose? We tend to applaud people when they end up getting a success story because they stuck to their guns and didn't veer off to the side. So are we sending a double-edged sword question, Minister Connie? What do you think about that? Like, we applaud on one side, but then yet we kind of like get a job on the other. Is this conflicting information?
Well, you should know your man's worth before he lost the job. That's very, very important. The other thing is, hey, I'm real creative. Just create you a job, or we're going to find you. But the communication is very important, because the thing is, you need to know how he's thinking, what he's feeling, and then you talk that through and validate him and say, look, I got you. Okay, but just look at this, just look at that. She should not be afraid to approach him on a very serious matter. I think 90 days, I don't put a date on anything. If you're creating a job, especially ones that start new businesses, could be very trying, and it takes a long time to bring in some money. But like Tiara said, doing Uber, there are so many things nowadays that you can make money on. You shouldn't have to sit around and wait on your partner to bring in, to pay the bills and make money. And if you're not bringing in anything while you're unemployed, help around the house, cook. When she come home, have dinner done, house clean. Things like the bed made up. Not just laying around doing nothing all day, because now that will make you irritable. When you come home, dishes, he's laying there watching TV, and the house is a
Being
mess.
a
Come on.
game.
That's not going to work. That's not, and that's what was my problem. And that's the reason why I end up leaving my relationship. Not for another man, but I left it because I made up my mind that I couldn't do it anymore, because now it became into a couple years. Okay. So that is the reason why. And I went and I upgraded to better. But the Bible does say, for better or for worse, sickness and in health, So when people do better, sometimes they leave their mate also, because now they're making this money and they don't want to be bothered with that person that helped them get there. So, it goes both ways. Making money and not making no money. So, gotta think about that.
Well, we really opened up a can of worms with it. And I know we're going to tap back into what we just said, but we need to take a quick commercial break because I want to get back into this. We'll be right back.
It's a good show right here.
but I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com.
And there's your resources right there. We are talking about being able to find positions, maybe even in the interim and in the gray. Guess what? You may just find your answer there. Please make sure that you go to flynubianmoney.com and check that out. Now, I do want to tap back into Minister Connie's comments, because there is more to it than just that. So, Joe, I know you had some things that you wanted to address as well from those comments. I would love to hear them.
Yeah, listen, the sister from the video is right. Tiara, Minister Connie, both right. You should want to get up and get it and do what you have to do to pay the bills and be there for your family. But I just want to add a little more nuance and perspective to it, because I had a situation under extraordinary circumstances where I couldn't work. And, you got to understand that my mindset was driven by purpose. I think you mentioned that, Lala. So I'm in a lane of, here's my purpose. I'm working towards my purpose. I have educated myself to be able to stay in the lane of my purpose. This is me speaking personally. So here I am, 2 master's degrees, an undergrad, and all these things, and now I can't work. The circumstances of me not being able to work, I couldn't even drive an Uber. So here I am, working overnight at like a shady hotel, doing what I got to do, right? Because we got to pay the bills. I get that mindset, but understand what that's doing to me is I'm sitting here with all this education and all these degrees, making probably what was like $13 an hour. No knock to nobody that makes $13 an hour, but I had driven myself to make more than that, right? So what is that doing to me mentally as I'm getting up, I'm driving trucks, doing whatever I can, building fences outside, all the intensive labor, doing everything I can to try to make money. Meanwhile, my mental health is being destroyed, right? Because again, my mind was focused on the purpose and, the accomplishments that come along with trying to get to the purpose. There's pride in that. So it's more than just get up and go get a job, go work, do what you got to do to feed your family. It's more to it than that,
I think that's a very important thing. I'm going through this whole thing myself. I mean, not with losing the job part, but also reflecting on the things that I've put away in my life that I know I should be tapping into. And at some point, that comes back to haunt you, because you got this constant tapping, this spiritual tapping, like, hello, you're supposed to be doing something. So that is a very real thing. And I think living in your life purpose is extremely important, and it can definitely affect your mental. Now, Tiara, you had your cigarette shout. You had your imaginary cigarette shout. And I'd like to know what those were out for.
Like you said, Joe, there's a lot of nuance there, because obviously I know what your situation was and I understand it. But on the flip side of that, it's very overwhelming to the woman to have to take that. And sometimes, like, those pressures can bust pipes, and not in a way like, oh, my man's going through something, I'm gonna walk away. No, it's just like, depending on the situation, it can be very stressful. I had one of my best friends, her her husband for a very long time. I mean, for like 90% of their relationship, couldn't find the right job, and he always felt like, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. But it felt like, and she was always the breadwinner. And just recently, after them being married for like 20 years, he just finally got a job within, like, in their 18th year of marriage, like a six-figure job. And she was like, oh my God, thank God I waited. But I don't know if a lot of women have that type of stamina to wait and be overwhelmed, because I think she resented him for a lot of their marriage. And so it's just a hard thing. Like, I understand it. I understand wanting to support my man through like his purpose but I also want to, I don't know. As a woman, you want to live your purpose, but again, that dynamic just being on and feeling like I'm the provider, I'm the breadwinner. It kind of like natural. I don't even think it's conscious. It's like a subconscious, like, flipping of what is supposed to happen in the home, like how she starts to deal with you. There is some resentment that
But
sets in.
don't get
There's
me
some things that happen, you
don't,
know.
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it was my wife's responsibility to lift all that up because I was sinking. It is still my responsibility to attend to my mental health. But in relationships, you always have to understand perspective. It's my duty to understand my wife's perspective and her lived experience, to understand that it is a lot on her, watching me go through what I'm going through. And it's her responsibility to understand my perspective. And then we can make choices for each other and for ourselves out of that. So it was definitely not her responsibility to be like, hey, you got to understand that I'm sinking. It's my responsibility to get the help, to have the talks, do the things to work on my confidence, to feel okay while I'm going through my situation. Totally my responsibility.
So is cheating. So in the stat, it says 33% more likely to be cheated on. That could just be the woman coping
Yeah.
from the overwhelm, right?
Looking at is people looking for emotional safety. You know what I mean? So instead, and no emotional safety and vulnerability, and saying, hey, I'm uncomfortable with how you're living. I'm uncomfortable with watching you do this thing. Instead of having those words in communication, I'm just going to go out and do what I believe is the safe thing and go find my emotional safety in the arms of somebody else. This is right, because we don't have the language or the verbiage or the communication skills to just be vulnerable and say how we feel, and how, like, I can't tell you that, because I know you're down, right? As a woman, I know you're down. I know that you're hurting. I can't tell you that I don't respect you right now. I
Yeah.
can't say that to your face, because that's just kicking you while you're down. So instead, I'm just, gonna get loved on by somebody else, which is not okay.
Yeah.
And then we did also touch on very much, like, even if you're going through that, and Minister Connie mentioned that, he wasn't even helping around the house. Deborah says cooking dinner and cleaning the house is very sexy. And so that's just one way, right? And Dee Harmon said, if you lose your job, we don't give up. Just keep searching, but don't take it out on the other half. We're here to support you. It just may take some time. Don't ever give up on yourselves. Listen, we already at break, but we still got so much to talk about. So I want you to keep those comments coming, because this is not a talk at you, and you guys are saying a lot of good things. Now, Anonymous, I'm gonna spank you. I love you. I love you, and I appreciate you being here. But bro, get out of the shadows. Start doing some positive stuff, because you know what? You may not always understand what someone else is going through. That will tip them to the wrong side. So let's focus on at least uplifting one another. Commercial.
I know you're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money, and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us, so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
Another way to do it, y'all. If you're not in there, you don't even know what you're missing. I'm telling you, you're missing a lot. So go check it out. You got 30 days to look at it and see the value. flynubianmoneyclub.com. Now listen, with the conversation is hot and heavy, but I definitely want to check in with another video because this gives a different little energy. So let's check this out and see what it says and get back to the conversation.
So he came home and he was like, babe, I lost my job. I'm like, all right, cool. So a month later, like the bills, it was time for the bills or whatever, and I'm like, the bills due, babe, or whatever. And he was like, okay, I'm not working. And I'm just, in a month, like, it's all kind of hustles. You could have been doing something or whatever. So I told him, I said, look, if I pay these bills, are you going to pay me the money back? This man had the nerve to tell me, why should I pay my wife back for paying our bills? I told this man from day one, my money is my money and his money is our money. Why should I spend my money paying the bills? Like, no, he should have paid me back. So that's when I decided, like, I can't be with this man no more. So he came home and he was like, babe, I lost my job. I'm like, all right, cool. So a month later, like the bills, it was time for the bills or whatever.
That was tough for me to hear. Minister Connie. I got to start with you, Minister Connie. Now listen, that was what, 30 days? And then she was like, I'm out. So I would like to hear your perspective on that. You said you waited a few years.
Yeah, she wasn't committed at all, and did she really hear her vows to her husband? Um, your money is our money and my money is my money. It's not like that in marriage. You're supposed to have each other's back. You're supposed to, when he's down, because there's never 100% on both parts, never. So when he's down, you come up. And when he's down, you come, you level him off. But the thing is that you're a partner. It's a partnership. It's not just a one-way street. She's a one-wayer, and that's never going to work. Whoever she will ever want to get with, because she's selfish in that aspect of her husband. You become one when you get married. It says for better or for worse, through sickness and through health. So if he got sick, what would she do? Leave him? So that's I don't know. That's very sticky there.
I got the feeling that she would in this situation, just from her whole being, her whole energy. So Joe, let me ask you this. Can financial instability ever be the root cause of infidelity, or is it just a symptom of deeper issues in a relationship?
Yeah, I'm gonna answer that. But response to that woman in the video, I'm taking her at her word, right? Taking her at her word, I'm gonna say that she didn't say anything wrong. If she in the beginning said this is who she is, and these are the standards that she expects to be living by, and he then made the choice, she came in full authenticity and honesty and said, I expect to be taken care of, and he then made the choice to marry her, then she is within her right to say how she feels in that moment. I didn't sign up for this. This is not what I got married. This is not the agreement we made upon getting married. You knew who I was. I told you who I was. I'm out. So I don't have a problem with her, saying what she said in that clip. But to answer your question, not necessarily, but sometimes, right? I'm going to say that the fact that you would choose infidelity is always an indicator that you do not have the ability to be vulnerable inside your marriage, because that's the only, no one, I don't believe anyone gets married with the intention of being a cheater. or having infidelity going in their marriage. So whatever you're doing or not doing, or whatever communication tools you don't possess in order to communicate when your needs aren't being met, that causes you to go cheat, or whatever trauma you've dealt with in your past that makes you think that's the way to go, to reach emotional safety. Those are things that, yes, are underlying and need to be dealt with, and are underlying symptoms of why your marriage isn't going to work, right?
Mhm.
Premarital counseling, people. Premarital counseling. If you're already married, couple sessions. Find out how to communicate so that you can be honest inside of a relationship and talk to your partner about needs that you have that are being met. Because infidelity, like I said, is just a mask for having the inability to ask for emotional safety.
Mm. Well, we definitely pushed a hot button with this video because Tamisha said, now this sister I don't agree with, because what's his is yours and what's hers is his. She completely misunderstood those vows and has it twisted. And then Robert Carson says she gave all the red flags to marry her and he did it anyway. That's his fault. And then Leroy says, I disagree with her money is hers, his money is ours. Listen, there was a lot in there, but listen, I have to ask this question because this is society thinks of things like this in so many different ways. So Tiara, why do we as a society often tie a man's worth to his job or his financial status?
Yeah, I mean, because in this society, we have been conditioned to believe that a man is a provider. He is at the head of the table. He is part of providing is emotional, is financial. I just went to a wedding yesterday, and he was, basically this young brother wrote all his vows, and he was like, "I promise to take care of you. I promise to protect you. I promise to listen. If it's raining outside, I'm gonna put a towel down so you can walk on top of it." I mean, he had his intentions were right. Like, I want to take care of this woman. And I think naturally, when a man loves a woman, that's what he wants to do innately. I mean, Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you find a man that really cares for you, he wants to take care of you, he wants to provide for you, and you can kind of like rest in that. I don't think that it's completely tied to his worth, but I think that again, those dynamics is what we've been taught, and it feels like a woman being the breadwinner all the like, it feels like and not necessarily breadwinner like for a long extended period of time. It feels like the dynamics are off. It feels like that's
Mm,
not the true order of the way things are supposed to go, just because of the way we are made, and how I mean what it feels like is natural. So that I would just say that, we've been conditioned to believe that.
mm. And I think we have, even as little children, we think of that. Even we're pretending when we're getting married. Like what do the women do? The women, little girls pretend that they're washing the dishes and cleaning the clothes and fixing the dinner, and the man comes home from work. Even at a young age, we're taught that. But Minister Connie, do you feel that a couple can survive financial hardships and job loss without external support? You're a minister, so do you feel like outside help can also help them get over this?
I'm in agreement with Joe. He said premarital counseling, where you put everything out on the table so you know exactly what you're getting into. I'm very much in agreement with that. Also, if you are going through a period, you know, um, I would get counseling, but prayer changes things. So I would just come together with my mate and say, hey, let's just pray about these issues, and just get a better a better understanding of each other. We can't come together, just pray about it and then come back and see how we could talk it out. Because sometimes when you're angry, and you're not thinking right, it causes arguments, it causes stress, it brings on a whole lot of other things in the relationship. So it is on the intimacy, it's not going to be there. when you're stressed and you're arguing all the time. Sometimes you can't stand people. But you know what? I heard Medea on this TV show. She said, on one of her shows, she said, you know, you need to get married every 10 years to this man, because you're not going to know him and he's not going to know you. And that is very true, because everybody grows up. You grow. Your body changes, your mind changes, everything changes. And that's why a lot of couples renew their vows, because they're not the same person that they walked down the aisle with 20 years ago or even 30 years ago. My cousin, he just renewed his vows with his wife 30 years, So um I think that you really got to revisit each other, because sometimes we leave the other mate behind because we're way up here and they're way back there, So you have to evolve together and grow together. But counseling is very, very important, and talking. I don't hold things in anymore. I used to when I was younger. Something bothering me, I'm telling you how I feel. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. But I'm telling you how I feel. So validate that. Listen to me. Take that in consideration, because I do not like to tell somebody something and you just totally ignore me, because that's not good. And some men do it, not all men. Some men are very open to hear what you say, and some just close it down. No, we're not doing that. That's it. So you can't be that type of person.
Yeah, you can't
Relationships are
talk to a
very
closed
hard.
door. You can't talk to a closed door. What's our key word, Joe? We always say communication. It all
Communication.
boils down to communication.
I have
Yes.
a question. I have a question. I love what Minister Connie said, but I would love to know, Joe, how do you even approach, as you grow, how do you approach growing together and evolving together? And maybe that's
Yeah.
a question I can ask Lala too. At like, how have you in your marriage decided, like, okay, we're going to grow together? How can you intentionally do that?
I would say, for the most part, running towards the discomfort. Most
Mm.
people, like Minister Connie said, she spoke about premarital counseling. Why would somebody not want to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to go into that space with the understanding that you might come out of it separating, because y'all are not for each other. But rather than find that out right now, you'd rather, be married for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and then find out that you've just been trying. You don't want to find out what you don't want to know, because part of you already knows that there's something to be found, right? There's some kind of disagreement. There's something that you don't want to say, that you don't feel comfortable saying. So to answer your question, you have to run towards the uncomfortable spaces and
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable conversations. You have to run towards them. All right. And you have
Mhm.
to understand where your connection is, where you need your time away. Are you turning down bids for connection from your partner, by saying, "Oh, I don't really want to take that walk," or "I don't want to go to that." I don't want to do, like, there's bids for connection, and every single
Mm-hmm.
turn one of those things down, you are weakening your relationship or destroying that connection between the two. So and you're consistently doing it over time, so you don't even know. Over time, the partner is just taking a walk and not even asking you, and then a year later, you're like, "How come you never asked me to go on a walk?" I did ask you. You said no every time. You know what I mean? So go towards the uncomfortableness, and I'll
No,
That's
he's
very
right on.
good.
He's so
Mm-hmm.
right on, because when my husband and I got married, we both were 23 years old. You're still kind of finding yourself. I had lost my mom. I had these traditional values that I saw growing up, that most of my aunts, they were the ones at home raising the children and doing that. And I grew up in that. And my husband he's a different man. He just is. He's very focused on everything that he does with his musical career. And so when we first got married, I tried to interject just what I thought things were supposed to be. And instead of having the conversation, I tried to force it. And for the first couple of years, even though we were good friends for so long, like when we got married and the ring went on the finger, I wanted to change like into this traditional thing. And we actually had to have a sit down and go, wait a minute, this is what I expected. And he's like, but we didn't talk about that. We need to. And so for the first couple of years, you kind of feel a push and a pull, and you have to get together into the uncomfortable, because if that person means everything that you said they meant to you, you have to go back to the basics of communication. Once we had that communication and I understood how, it's okay if I don't want to cook dinner every day. It's okay if I call you to dinner and you're like, not right now, babe. I'm like in the middle of a song. Like you can't stop creativity like that. So then I would sit up there, I'll cook this dinner when he's not coming upstairs. And so it had to be a realization within myself to give him the freedom, and he does the same for me. And just like Joe says, every evening, babe, you're ready to go for my walk. You want to go today? Guess what? That's our time. Even if it's just 30 minutes to get away from the world, we make it a chance to do that. So you have to want it, and you have to have that mutual respect. And then when you have that, you have the understanding that when your partner is really going through something, that they need you to uplift them, because they will do the same thing for you. I probably over talked on all that, but
that was good.
July is actually our 33rd wedding anniversary, and I am excited for it. Because I have found my person. But that does not mean that during this whole relationship we haven't grown. And sometimes some of the growing goes in different directions, but you still know that you have your person to go back to and center with again. You have to be able to grow and then grow together and give the freedom. And with that said, I do think it is commercial time.
Well said.
We'll be right back.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the Black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
Ain't no probably in Lala's case. Lala looking for you. Listen, we are really getting this book together, and we want to see it. We tell you this is Friday. This is Blackout Friday. Well, I told you I'm looking for everybody who I need something out of my life. It could be hair, it could be skin, it could be cookbooks, it could be anything. I might need your services. Listen, I'm getting busy. I may need somebody to run my social media. So how do I find you? Well, it's simple. You send all of your information to us. All of your information to us, your name, your business, your website, your email, a little bio about yourself, your telephone number, on how we can reach you, because this is how we give back to the community, and it's free. So make sure that you send all that information into to our email at info@realvirtual.net. Okay. And I get so excited every time we talk about that, because I'm looking for the right people. Now, I am going to ask you this, Tiara, because you are single. You are a single person on our panel today. We're talking about traditional roles. So how do you think that losing a job challenges the traditional roles in a relationship? And how do you see, as a single woman, if that should happen in your relationship, how do you feel that you would be able to adjust to those changes?
Well, typically, like if I'm in a relationship, I have been in my past the girl that holds it down, right? Holds it down. But I think that there's something that innately happens when you hold it down for a little too long, or you just show someone, because I wasn't married, right? So showing someone that, hey, if we're in this situation together, I would be willing to be there for you. I think sometimes the wrong person will take advantage of that. Or I think that there's a relaxed energy that sometimes some men get when they see that a woman is like, oh, you got it. All right. Well, you got it then. Like, cool. Then I can go out and do what I gotta do. And then the pressure, stays on you because this person's like, well, she got it. I just think that there's such a balance. I think it's a slippery slope, right? You want to show that, hey, I got you, but you also want to just enforce like, hey, you can't get too comfortable in this. Like, you gotta still, meet me halfway. So I just think that, like you all have been saying, communication. I think it's just important. I think it's important for a man to be a man and to feel like a man and to feel like he's needed and to feel all of these different things. So, and to let him figure it out. I think that's been the biggest lesson that I've learned, because at some point, if you're paying somebody's bills or helping them with bills, you kind of become their mama a little bit. And I don't know if they're necessarily attracted to that. And I'm all talking from a subconscious place. Like, it's not anything that anybody is saying, but I think in my experience, that's what the vibe has kind of felt like it's turned into. And that's not what I was looking for. So I think letting a man be a man and figure it out, letting him bump his head and say like, oh, I got to figure this out, and be stressed out. But before you come like, I got it, I think that's been my learning experience.
Well, it's very interesting that you brought that up. I have a really good friend who did divorce his wife. He initiated it because he did lose a job and he really was out there looking. It was just a weird time. I mean, even applied at grocery stores and they wouldn't hire him because they were like, no, you got way too many skills. Like, he was really out there doing it. And he did do day labor and things of that nature. But his wife changed in the fact that she started mothering him. And he was like, I don't want a mother, I want a wife. You cannot start talking down to me like I am now your child. And he was doing everything right. But she felt that because he didn't have the stable job that he had before, that she was the one who was supposed to step into the mother role. He said, I had one mother. I don't need another one. So I think the dynamic is very, very important. But we actually have some stats, and I definitely want to check those out because, we don't do nothing around here that we can't back up with what we know. So let's check out a few stats and get back into the conversation.
Well, as I grab them, maybe Joe can help us understand that whole dynamic, being like, having a man come in and say like, did you look for a job today? Like, that's when it becomes a little like, if he on a game, or like if he's doing a thing, you like, did you look? What has been happening? Like, that whole thing, like, it gets a little unattractive. But to these stats.
And we'll let Joe answer that when we come back. So, job loss and infidelity. According to a study by the National Marriage Project, men who are unemployed are 33% more likely to experience infidelity in their relationships. Oh boy, that's I don't like that stat. A report from the American Psychological Association show that financial stress is one of the leading causes of divorce and relationship strain, with nearly 30% of couples citing money problems as a top issue. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, Black Americans face higher unemployment rates than their white counterparts, which can increase financial strain in households and exacerbate relational challenges. And finally, in a 2021 study published in the Journal of Marriage and Family, found that unemployment negatively affects mental health, leading to increased depression, anxiety, and relationship dissatisfaction. I think that's a really good one to end on and tap into what we spoke about, how now the wife felt like she needed to become the husband's mother in a way, and that just made things even worse. I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Joe.
Well, I would say that, a majority of Black Americans are born into and exist in survivor mode.
Yeah.
Agree on that? So obviously, if you are in survivor mode or born in survivor mode, raised in survivor mode, you can easily be triggered by loss of job or financial stress. right? And what comes with that? It triggers it, for a lot of people, an identity crisis, right? Especially men raised to equate their worth to providing. So when you come in and say that you look for a job, which is a valid question, it comes into to the mind of a man like that as you ain't shit. You ain't shit. You're not a man. You're not in any way a man. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, you just as a woman just trying to find out if you got off this couch today, got off, and as Tiara said, got off that game. Did you get off that game today? But like I'm saying, it triggers identity crisis. So the internal crisis, it spills again into that disconnection. So it's tough. You have to, if you care, if you love this man, you want to try to address it with compassion and emotional support. Because if you don't, if your frustration comes out, then you potentially could do more harm to the relationship. Now that again, I say it is a man's responsibility to do what he has to do, but we talking about a marriage. Sometimes that man doesn't have what it takes to pull himself out of that situation. So as this woman, you do need to kind of pick it up a little bit and pick up the emotional support and pick up the compassion and the empathy. And you would hope that if when you're down, he do the same for you. That's a
That's
relationship.
key. Yeah, that's key. Like, would you want to be talked like that as well? I mean, you have to, what the golden rule, whether people like it or not, the golden rule is the golden rule. You need to make sure that you're treating others the way that you would want to be treated. And there's a lot behind that too. And there's times where you can probably, be a little more kinder and kind of giving that wrist slap. But it's all about the communication. It's all about that. And there is a way to come to it. There's a difference of tone. Did you look for a job today? And hey, honey, were you able to look for a job today? Did you find anything interesting? That is a more easier conversation than did you look for a job today? I can't do that. You have to mind your tongue. Now, listen, Leroy says, a man shouldn't define himself just by his ability to pay bills. Manhood is defined by wisdom, vision, uniqueness, commitment, consistency, excellence, and accountability, not his wallet. Minister Connie, that one's for you. Do you agree with that?
Yes, wholeheartedly. Joe said something earlier about walking in your purpose. Now, if you know that your husband is trying to prepare himself in education or even starting a new business, that the time it would take for it to get off the ground, and he's working in his purpose, you should be able to hold him down no matter how long it takes. But that's a conversation, and you both have to be in agreeable of what is going to happen, how it's going to happen. So sometimes you got to come back and meet very often on the things that you have talked about. The purpose is very, very important. That's one of the things I want to say. Um, but as far as repeat that again, because I got lost there.
Oh no, I was just saying, like,
Great.
the comment was talking about a man is defined by more than just his wallet. And should
Yes,
yeah.
definitely. You got to know your man's worth, like I said before. I used to tell my husband that I want you. I want a man. I don't need a man, because of my position of what I, brought to the table and everything. I'm pretty sure that a man want to be wanted more than he is needed. So I used to tell him, I want you. I don't need you, but I want you. And I'm not going to be your mother. No, because I don't want you to be my father, and I don't want to be your mother. So therefore, those things are important, and it's how you speak to your mate. You don't say, "Did you find a job today?" No, you say, "Hey, hon, how did the job search go today?" It's all how you speak to a person. I tell my employees that all the time. You don't just say anything to another employee. You respect that person of how you speak to them and the tone. Tone is very important. So, all that stuff is important. You got to be respectful to one another, and we're supposed to uplift and encourage one another all the time. Now, I don't always do that. Sometimes I come down a little hard, but majority of the time I try to be an encourager and help people, because everybody has a struggle. Everybody do.
And that's what I was talking about earlier is, your tone is everything. Your tone is everything. Would you speak to your neighbor the same way that you would speak to your spouse? If your neighbor was struggling, what would you do? You would be encouraging in the tone. I know that being a spouse or being someone's partner is different, but the tone truly, truly matters. And you know what? Sometimes you may be having a bad day yourself, and it may come out wrong, but that's when you have to be woman enough or man enough to say, you know what? That didn't come out right. I'm sorry about that. Let's start that over again. There's been many a time that I'm thinking about a real estate deal or something else, and I'm like sharp at it, and I've had to say to my husband, that wasn't okay. Hold up, wait a minute. Rewind the tape and let's start that conversation again. It's all about communication. We have one more video that we're going to look at, and then we're going to wind this down. We are really having a great conversation. Continue talking to us, family. Continue talking to us, because this is a very important one. We'll be right back after this video.
Hold on.
Gremlins in the system again.
Hold on. Here we go.
I'm starting to realize that many women only know how to measure a man's worth based off the money that he's bringing in. Like, what about the man that's helping the woman to build her dreams up behind the scene? Or even a man that's supporting you behind the scene, helping you to get to the check, even if he's not the one that's cutting it personally. When Remy Ma said that she was tired of giving a man, Niger, her 20% and still having to pay the bills, and now carrying on as if this man did not contribute, as if this man was not, I'm sure somewhat behind the pen, as if this man was not a part of, if not the foundation, as if this man didn't contribute to her career in a large way, is just very startling to me. It's like, ladies, y'all got to understand that a good man is not always just the man that's handing you the money in your hand directly. Sometimes a good man could be the one that's behind the scene, the one that's behind the lyrics, the one that's helping you, giving you the tools to be able to make the money, so there's different ways to be a good person, a good man, to help contribute to things without just necessarily being the one that's handing you the money or even the one that's personally making the money. I believe that Papoose was helping Remy Ma in many ways.
That's a different take, but we like to hit all angles. But it is time for us to wind down. You can either give us your final thoughts on that last video or your final thoughts about our whole conversation today. And we're going to start with you, Minister Connie. What's your final thoughts, and where can we find you?
My final thoughts is that know the man or the significant other in your life, know their worth first before you even get involved with them. Dating should be as friends so you can know each other. A lot of people rush relationships, but take a slow walk with that person. Get to know them, be friends, laugh, and things like that, so that when you are in getting married or decide to move in with one another, my mother used to say shack up, but if you decide to do that, just know what they're bringing to the table. And if things like this happens, are you going to have that person's back or not? You can reach me at ConnieSpearman.com. I have a book out called Lord, I Hear You. It's a great read, so get it. Also, I have a journal that goes with it. So, yeah, hey, give some sister some love here. Okay, thank you. Love ya.
Minister Connie's got really great things. Please go make sure that you check her out. That is your assignment. Joe, my love, what is your final thoughts, and where can we find you?
I just want to say I'm jumping on the back of I think the guy's name is Leroy. Brother Leroy, you spitting fire today. At the end of the day, that financial stress and job loss don't really define who you are. So I want you all to, it's not the strength of your relationship, the fact that you can provide. So, there's chapters in your story. And infidelity is not the way to go. It's just a painful, it ends up being painful solution, temporary solution to long-term problems. And what it does do a lot of times though is reveal unspoken wounds inside your relationship and undressed unaddressed needs rather than simply a lack of love, right? So the truth is, money problems don't break people. They don't. It's the silence, it's the shame, it's the disconnection. That's what's ruining you guys' relationships. So if you're going through a season where you're just struggling, whether it's lack of whatever it is, whatever's causing y'all to disconnect, but just remember, at the end of the day, none of your worth is tied to the paycheck, like Leroy's been saying in the comments lately. It's not your worth is not tied to that paycheck, and your relationship is about being resilient, and it's not about just when you fail. It's about how y'all come together in moments that are difficult, and you get up together, you tell each other the truth, and you do whatever the work is that is necessary to rebuild whatever's damaged or whatever's broken, whatever trust and love and security that needs to be restored. That is what a relationship is. So if you are struggling, find a way. And remember, therapy is, be proactive about that stuff. It's not a last resort. Don't let it be the last resort. Be proactive. Get y'all asses in some therapy and learn how to talk to each other. Okay?
I
That's all.
love it.
Oh, you can find me at realuconsulting.com. The link to all my socials is on there, and the link to my podcast is on there. Hit me up.
Joe, we know we love you. I just love you. And listen, because I'm all for therapy, and I believe all of us need it at some point in our life. I don't know where I would be without it. So I'm grateful that I have an open mind enough to know that if I need more therapy, I'm going to Joe at www.realuconsulting.com. Tiara, it is your turn, my love. What is your final thoughts, and where can we find you?
Man, you all have said so many good things today. I've learned so much from all of you, just a wealth of information. As a single woman that's kind of looking around and saying, like, okay, I want to do this marriage thing at some point. It's just great to already, I feel like I already go through like a premarital situation with you all, getting to just kind of watch you all walk it out. And so that's a blessing to have, So when we hit those hard, single ladies, single fellas, I'm talking to you. When we hit those hard bumps, just being around people that are well versed, that know what to do when they get in situations like these. So I think that is extremely valuable. So I appreciate that in my circle. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood. I am so excited to announce that we are doing a thing next week with the Fly Nubian Money Club. I am offering one-on-one consulting with people who are in the club to help them, giving them monetization tips and strategies to start their next thing, whatever that is, to sell their next book, to whatever it is that you want to do. I want to do a one-on-one with you. So if you are a part of the Fly Nubian Money Club, I have sent you an email for your one-on-one. Make sure you respond to that email. And for those that have not, go ahead and sign up. I want to spend the next 6 months of the year really focused on that goal that you have and helping you get to the prize, get to the thing. So join Fly Nubian Money Club today.
Listen, I'm telling you, July 1st is Tuesday. Half the year is gone, and now it's time for you to level up. All right. So go ahead and tap into that. That is priceless right there. One-on-one. Come on now. That does not play. Go ahead and sign up at flynubianmoneyclub.com. Now, here's my final thoughts. Listen, to each their own, to each relationship is their own. You have to establish these things before you say I do, or you get into that committed relationship. Without that communication, that can be shaky foundation. And so when something like that happens, you all of a sudden may have different thoughts than your partner. So why not truly sit down and have those conversations and stop trying to get all flufferized with all these weddings and stuff, and really concentrate on why the reason is that you want to be married in the first place. Are you truly taking your vows seriously? I do. And so therefore, I'm glad and grateful that my husband and I had conversations that we needed to have before we were married, and also had premarital counseling. That doesn't mean that you don't hit new things when you are starting out. Being a newlywed can be a little rocky, but if you want it that bad, then you know that you have to be able to be partners and equally yoked to make it a success. Now, where can you find me? You can find me at www.laurakey.net. I have something pretty exciting going on right now. Listen, you see me on Fly Nubian here 3 to 4 days a week, right? And I also have other live streaming shows and have other YouTube channels. And I love live streaming. And I get a lot of people that ask me, hey, how do you do that? What do I do? Where do I start? Well, I developed a course. It's a 21-day course. Y'all, it is so much packed into that. It talks about lighting, sound, where you get your content, how to handle trolls, how to get your self-confidence, how to tap into others, how to write your scripts. 21 days. This is well over $2,000 worth of information, if not more. But I'm only giving it to the people who come and support us here, Fly Nubian Money, for $149. And we start on July the 1st. Go to my website at www.laurakey.net and sign up today. Now, listen, y'all, this was so really good conversation that you heard our producer. She said, do it.
Do it. And I got I got Connie's books on hand. Y'all got to do it. Go to ConnieSpimmer.com and go to LalaKey.com. Laurakey.net.
Yes,
go
we
ahead,
all
Lala.
have really good things for you. But we all have different things on our show. All of our queens and our king, we have so much for you. Tap into us, use us. That's what we're here for. We are the ultimate Black business guide, okay? We are here to help you get to your next level. But now we want to say this, it is Friday. And we hope that you have a beautiful weekend. We want to thank you for joining us today as we discuss this pretty complex relationship between job loss, infidelity, and the financial pressures that often come with it. Relationships are really tough enough, but when money enters the equation, it can bring very new and scary challenges. The key takeaway here is that communication, trust, and support are vital in navigating through these tough times together. Whether it's financial hardship or job loss, no matter the challenge, there's always room for growth and understanding in a healthy partnership. So keep the conversation going. We love to see the comments, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. Let us know. If you're watching it on the replay, put #replay, and we know that you came in and supported us. But let's remember this. Your worth is not defined by your job or your paycheck. It's definitely by who you are and what you bring to the table. So until next time, that would be Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stay strong, stay empowered, and let's keep building. Have a beautiful weekend. Peace out.